morning all of you. Today we discuss a limbic system is formed by the structures which are present between the cortex and the thalamus. First of all, limbus. Limbus mean border or edge. The limbic system include the structures that lie in the border zone between the cerebral cortex and the thalamus. So the structure between the cerebral cortex and the thalamus, these structure forming the limbic system. The structure beyond this border zone are also included, example thalamus and hypothalamus. The structure beyond the thalamus, beyond this border zone, that is thalamus and hypothalamus, also included in this system. Component of the limbic system. Limbus mean ring or back. Limbus mean border or edge. So limbus mean ring, the part of the cortex and subcortical structures that form the ring around the brain stem known as the limbic system. It is also known as the rhinoencephalon because it is related to the olfaction. In cross-section of the limbic system, we see the structure which forming the limbic system, the structure present between the cortex and the structure between the thalamus. So all these structure which are present between these two forming the limbic system. For example, cingulate gyrus, thalamus, hypothalamus, dentate gyrus, and hippocampus and parahippocampal gyrus. The structure which are forming the border or ring around the brainstem. In overview of the limbic system, this in blue color, this all structure present in this blue area forming the limbic system. That means the structure present at the edge or border, or the structure that form the ring around the brain stem forming the limbic system. So here is the orbital surface where present the gyrus rectus, olfactory sulcus, olfactory bulb, olfactory tract and trihinal sulcus. Here is the uncus, parahippocampal gyrus. Here is the collateral sulcus. Here is the anterior perforated substance, and here is the temporal lobe. So anatomically, the limbic system is a complex network of the cortical areas and subcortical structures interconnected by the bidirectional pathway. The major limbic center includes the cortical areas and subcortical structures. The cortical structures are the cingulate gyrus, orbitofrontal gyrus, insular gyrus, and medial prefrontal cortices and parahippocampal gyrus. In subcortical structures, there is thalamus, which having the anterior thalamic nuclei. Number 2, septal area, nucleus accumbens, hippocampus, hypothalamus, mainly the mammillary bodies, and the amygdala, amygdaloid complex. So the structures which forming the major limbic centers are the cortical and subcortical structures. And the connecting pathway of the limbic system is formed by the alveus, fimbria, fornix, mammillothalamic tract, and the stria terminalis. So the anatomical structures which are included in the limbic system: subcallosal, cingulate gyrus, parahippocampal gyrus, hippocampal formation, amygdaloid nucleus, mammillary bodies, and anterior thalamic nucleus. And the connecting pathway of the limbic system is formed by the alveus, fimbria, fornix, mammillothalamic tract, and the stria terminalis. Here is the overview of the limbic system. So all these structure in blue color forming the limbic system. The structure present between the cortex and the thalamus, which form a ring around the brainstem, or the structure present at the edge or the border forming the limbic system. So here is the subcallosal gyrus, cingulate gyrus, then is the isthmus, then is the parahippocampal gyrus, uncus, orbitofrontal gyrus. All these structures forming the limbic system. Now the parts same as the limbic system. It consists of limbic cortex, hippocampal formation, amygdala, septal area, hypothalamus, and some other small part included are the insula, entorhinal sulcus, cortex, and nucleus accumbens. In limbic cortex there is cingulate gyrus and parahippocampal gyrus, and in hippocampal formation there is dentate gyrus, hippocampus, and subicular complex. So here is the limbic system. Another diagram: subcallosal area, cingulate gyrus, parahippocampal gyrus, hippocampal formation, hippocampus, parahippocampal gyrus, amygdala. So all these structures forming the limbic system, and these are the connecting pathway which are found by the fornix, etc. First of all, we discuss about the cingulate gyrus. So here is the cingulate gyrus. This is the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere. So cingulate gyrus located dorsal to the corpus callosum. Here is the corpus callosum. Dorsal to it in yellow color there is presence of the cingulate gyrus. It includes several cortical regions that are heavily interconnected with the association areas of the cerebral cortex. Posteriorly, it becomes continue via cingulate bundle of fibers in the white matter with the parahippocampal gyrus. So posteriorly, here is the frontal lobe, here is the occipital lobe. Posteriorly, it continue with the parahippocampal gyrus. So here is the corpus callosum. Here is, above that there is presence of cingulate gyrus, which become posteriorly it become continue with the parahippocampal gyrus. Here is the parahippocampal sulcus and here is the parahippocampal gyrus, which continue in front as the rhinal sulcus. Parahippocampal sulcus, here is the rhinal sulcus, here is the anterior commissure, here is the septum pellucidum which is extending downward from the corpus callosum, and above the cingulate gyrus there is an sulcus, that is the cingulate sulcus. Next is the parahippocampal gyrus. First is the cingulate gyrus, next is the parahippocampal gyrus which is located in the medial temporal lobe. So here is the parahippocampal gyrus in red color which is located in the medial temporal lobe. Frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal lobe. It lies between the hippocampal fissure and the collateral sulcus. Here is the hippocampal fissure and the collateral sulcus, and continue with the hippocampus along with the medial edge of the temporal lobe. It continue with the hippocampus along with the medial edge of the temporal lobe. So here is the parahippocampal gyrus. It lies on the inferior surface of each cerebral hemisphere medial to the anterior part of the collateral sulcus. Here is the collateral sulcus, anterior to it there is presence of the parahippocampal gyrus. Anteriorly it is continue with the uncus and posteriorly it continue with the cingulate gyrus. So here is the cingulate gyrus. Parahippocampal gyrus and posteriorly with the cingulate gyrus and anteriorly with the uncus. Next is the dentate gyrus. The narrow-nosed band of grey matter lie between the fimbria of the hippocampus and the parahippocampal gyrus. Anteriorly it is continuing into the uncus and posteriorly continue with the indusium griseum. So here is the dentate gyrus, which anteriorly continue in the uncus and posteriorly with the indusium griseum. It is a narrow-nosed band of the grey matter. Because of the nosed appearance, it is known as the dentate gyrus. So here is the dentate gyrus. Next is the subicular complex. It includes the pre, para and the subicular parts, the transition region between the hippocampus and the parahippocampal gyrus. So here is the subiculum area which is present between the hippocampus and parahippocampal gyrus. Here is the hippocampus and here is the parahippocampal gyrus. In between these two there is presence of the subicular complex. Next is the hippocampus. What is hippocampus? It is a curved elevation of the gray matter. Here is the hippocampus. Next, right. Here is the hippocampus. Here is the hippocampus. Here is the dentate gyrus. So hippocampus is a curved elevation of gray matter extend throughout the entire length of the floor of the inferior horn of the lateral ventricle. Expanded anterior end is known as the pes hippocampus and terminate posteriorly beneath the splenium of the corpus callosum. Alveus, a thin layer of white matter beneath the convex ventricular surface, and fimbria, the bundle formed by the nerve fiber originated in the hippocampus, become continue with the crush of the fornix, passes anteriorly and inferiorly. The column of the fornix passes through the hypothalamus into the mammillary body. So here is the hippocampus, here is the fimbria, dentate gyrus, these are the lateral ventricle, and here are the column of the fornix. This hippocampus continue with the column of the fornix. Now the connection of the hippocampus. Connection of the hippocampus having afferent connection and efferent connection. Efferent connection of the hippocampus are the cingulate gyrus pass to the hippocampus. Septal nuclei pass posterior in the fornix to the hippocampus. One hippocampus pass across the midline to the opposite hippocampus in the commissure of the fornix. Indusium griseum pass posteriorly in the longitudinal striae to the hippocampus. Entorhinal area or olfactory association cortex pass to the hippocampus. Dentate and parahippocampal gyri travel to the hippocampus. These are the afferent connections of the hippocampus. And here the efferent connection of the hippocampus. Number 1, posterior to the anterior commissure to enter the mammillary body and in the medial nucleus. Number 2, to end in the anterior nuclei of thalamus. To enter the tegmentum of the midbrain. To end in the septal nuclei, the lateral preoptic area and the anterior part of the hypothalamus. Fiber join the stria medullaris thalami to reach the habenular nuclei. So here are the connections that are the afferent and efferent fiber. In red color, these are the afferent fiber coming to the septal area, to the hippocampal formation and from the cingulate gyrus. And these are the efferent connections in green color. Functions of the hippocampus, that is the learning and the memory. Damage to the hippocampus or its input or output region and the fiber result in memory loss or amnesia. Damage to both hippocampi results in the anterograde amnesia or the inability to learn new information. Retrograde amnesia, the loss of previously learned information may be present as well. Next is the amygdala, that is almond shape. It is located in the medial temporal lobe. Here is that medial temporal lobe. Here is presence of the amygdala, just anterior to the hippocampal formation. Here is the hippocampal formation, anterior to it there is presence of amygdala. It is fused with the tip of the tail of the caudate nucleus. Stria terminalis emerges from its posterior aspect. It is a group of nuclei, larger basolateral, smaller centromedial. Centromedial amygdala appear to be part of larger structure that is continued through the sublenticular innominate with bed nucleus of the stria terminalis. So here is the almond-shaped structure which is present posterior to the hippocampal formation, that is the amygdala. Connection of the amygdala are the afferent connections and efferent connections. Efferent connections are the olfactory system, hypothalamus, thalamus, reticular formation, neocortex, and efferents are via stria terminalis to the septal nuclei, via stria terminalis to the thalamus and to the thalamus. So these are the connections of the amygdala. These are the afferent and these are the efferent. Afferent coming from cerebral cortex, olfactory system, thalamus, brain reticular formation, and efferent are going through the stria terminalis to the hypothalamus and via ventral amygdal fusal fibers to the hypothalamus. So amygdala has the two output pathway. Number one, stria terminalis. Number two, ventral amygdala fusal pathway. The stria terminalis, which is C-shaped, carry the efferent projection primary from the corticomedial nuclei, and the ventral amygdalo-fusal pathway carry the efferent from the central nuclei, which descend to the brainstem, and those from the basoluteral nuclei which ascend to the thalamus, the ventral striatum and the basal nucleus. The bed nucleus of the stria terminalis runs along with the stria. Functional aspect of the amygdala. The amygdala has a high order modulation influence on the autonomic function based on learning and past experiences. For example, generalized fear increases the heart rate, sweating and respiration. The instinct modulation of the autonomic function is different from the reflexive modulation of the hypothalamus. Electrical stimulation of the amygdala in human elicit the emotions ranging from the pleasure to aggression through fear is the most common. Bilateral destruction of the amygdala causes great decrease in aggression. This also often causes the eating disorder, either hyperaspasia or the hypophagia. Next is the septal area. The septal area, here is presence of septal nuclei. The gray matter structure located immediately above the anterior commissure. Here is presence of the anterior commissure, and just immediately above the anterior commissure there is presence of the septal area. Septal area, it lies on the medial surface of the cerebral hemisphere anterior to the lamina terminalis, anterior commissure, and it includes the septum pellucidum. Here is the septum area, septal area. Here is the anterior commissure. Just above that, it includes the septum pellucidum. It's having connections afferent and efferent. Afferents are from hippocampus, amygdaloid body, hypothalamus. From hippocampus through the fornix, and from hypothalamus through the medial forebrain bundle. Efferent to the hippocampus, hypothalamus, habenular nuclei through stria medullaris, thalami, and reticular formation of the midbrain. Function, it is regarded as the pleasure center. So septal area is regarded as the pleasure center. Septal area, this is an extensive reciprocal connections with the hippocampus via fornix. Same connections we have discussed previously. The septal area projects to the habenular nuclei via the stria medullaris thalami. It also projects to the anterior hypothalamus and modulate the hypothalamic function. Functional aspect of the septal area is this area is associated with the pleasure. Now the fiber bundle of the limbic system. The connecting system of the limbic system is found by fornix. That is, it arises from the hippocampus and terminates in the mammillary body. The fornix is found by four. So here is the start from the hippocampus and end in the mammillary body. Here is the mammillary body. It consists of four parts: fimbria, crus, body, and anterior column. It consists of four parts: fimbria, crus, body, and column or pillar of the fornix. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fimbria is the continuation of the, so there is fornix. We start from the hippocampus and end into the mammillary body. It consists of fimbria, crus, body, and columns 1, 2, 3 and 4. Fimbria is a continuation of alveolus which is formed by the axons of the neuron of the hippocampus and passes along its medial border. Crus of the fornix is the continuation of the fimbria below the splenium. Body of the fornix, the two crura fuses to form the body of the fornix, and anterior column of the fornix, each one terminate in the mammillary body. Cingulum is the fiber bundle of the limbic lobe. Mammillothalamic tract connect the mammillary body with the anterior thalamic nuclei, and stria terminalis, it begins in the septal area in the habenular nucleus. So, here is the fibers of the limbic system, that is the stria terminalis. First we have discussed about the fornix, next is the stria terminalis. What is stria terminalis? It is related to the inferior horn and the central part of the lateral ventricle. It begins in the amygdaloid complex and run backward in the roof of the inferior horn and terminate near the interventricular foramen and anterior commissure by dividing into various bundles. So here is the stria terminalis. Next is the anterior commissure. Anterior commissure is situated in the anterior wall of the third ventricle. Here is the anterior commissure which is present in the anterior wall of the third ventricle at the upper end of the lamina terminalis. Here is the lamina terminalis. At the upper end of lamina terminalis, there is presence of the anterior commissure. This is the corpus callosum. Here is the fornix, which start from the hippocampus and end into the mammillary body. Made up of fiber arising from hippocampus, body of the fornix is suspended from the corpus callosum by septum pellucidum. Posteriorly divided into two cruras. Cruras are interconnected by the fibers passing from one another, forming the hippocampal commissure. This is about the fornix. Next is the Pepys circuit. The Pepys circuit start from hippocampus to mammillary body, then anterior nucleus of the thalamus, and then to the hippocampus, then to the cingulate gyrus, then to the hippocampal gyrus. Pepys circuit approximate the hippocampo-mammallocortical circuit. This and amygdaloid septal circuit begins in the frontal cortex and overlap in the temporal cortex and the hippocampus and the septal areas. Hippocampo-mammallocortical structure, entorhinal cortex receive the afferent from the olfactory tract and diverse area of the temporal lobe. It relay highly processed sensory information to the granule cells in the dentate gyrus. The hippocampus sends projection back to the entorhinal and inferior temporal cortex. However, most of the efferent travel in the fornix and terminate in the mammillary body, septal area and contralateral hippocampus. The mammillary body projects to the anterior nuclei of the thalamus via mammillothalamic fasciculus. The anterior thalamic nuclei project to the cingulate gyrus via internal capsule. The cingulum lies within the cingulate gyrus and serves as the cortical association pathway for adjacent regions of the neocortex in the frontal, parietal and occipital lobe. The clinical aspect of this circuit is that the hippocampus and the entorhinal cortex are both affected at an early stage by the Alzheimer's disease, that is the olfactory toxins. So this is the Pepys circuit. Start from hippocampus via fornix to the mammillary body, via mammillothalamic tract to the anterior nucleus of the thalamus, and via thalamic radiation to the cingulate gyrus, and via cingulum to the hippocampal gyrus, and then again from hippocampal gyrus via prefrontal part to the hippocampus. This is same. Here is the hippocampal formation, then mammillary body, anterior thalamic group, and then to the cingulate gyrus, parahippocampal gyrus. So these are the small structures which are also forming the part of the limbic system, that is the insula, that is the medial cortical gyrus located between the amygdala and the frontal lobe. Next is the uncus. Here is the uncus formed by the amygdala and the rostral hippocampus. Next is the entorhinal cortex, located in the anterior part of the parahippocampal gyrus on the medial surface of the temporal lobe, the transition zone between the hippocampus and the temporal neocortex. Here is the entorhinal cortex. Hypothalamus, thalamus and cortical areas. The lateral and medial mammillary nuclei receive hippocampal input through the fornix and project to the anterior nuclei of the hypothalamus. Now the functions of the limbic system. The functions of the limbic system found by the different parts of the limbic system, that is the amygdala, cingulate gyrus, hippocampus, hypothalamus, mammillary body, nucleus accumbens, prefrontal area and parahippocampus. Amygdala perform the aggression and fear, cingulate gyrus related to autonomic function, hippocampus related to recent memory, hypothalamus to endocrine function, mammillary body to long memory, and nucleus accumbens related to addiction, prefrontal area related to personality, and parahippocampus related to the spatial memory. Now these are the different functions performed by the limbic system. Amygdala through the hypothalamus cause the autonomic response during emotional state, mainly affect the cardiovascular system, respiratory system and GIT. Regulation of feeding and behavior, that is performed by the hypothalamus and amygdala. Hypothalamus regulate the food intake through the feeding center and satiety center, and amygdala stimulation produce the movement associated with eating, chewing, swallowing and licking. Lesions produce hyperphagia. Regulation of the sexual behavior and reproduction, that is the basic sex drive, urge to copulate, is instinctual behavior as food intake. Function of the limbic system and hypothalamus influenced by the sex hormone and cortex and controlled by the neural and endocrinal factors. Neural control, that is role of neocortex and limbic system, mainly by the frontal region, stimulate the sex behavior, and piriform cortex overlying amygdala inhibits sex drive in males. Neuronal control, role of the hypothalamus, anterior hypothalamus and median forebrain bundle elicit the sex behavior. Role of the encephalization, largely encephalized perception that sexual act produces the pleasure is a big cause. That is also sexual behavior is strongly influenced in human being by social custom, rules and social taboo. Endocrinal control, role of the gonadal hormone in males, that is testosterone stimulate, in female estrogen raised during the estrous period, sexual activity slightly increased during ovulation. Role of the pheromones, chemicals by their smell act as the sex attractant. Maternal behavior, function of the cingulate gyrus and retrosplenial portion of the limbic cortex in animals, mainly neurogenic, depend on olfaction, auditory, visual, thermotactile and stimuli from the younger ones. Emotional behavior, most important function of the limbic system is the emotional behavior. Motivational behavior, most important function of the limbic system. Now the applied of the limbic system. So limbic system is formed by the structures which are present around the brainstem, or that form the ring around the brainstem, that the structure which are present between the cerebral cortex and the thalamus, or the structure which are present on the border. So limbic system mainly it is related to emotional and motivational behavior. Clinical note of the limbic system, it is related to schizophrenia, destruction of the amygdaloid complex, temporal lobe dysfunction. Schizophrenia include the chronically disorder, that is thinking, blunted effect and emotional withdrawal. Paranoid delusions and auditory hallucinations may also be present. And destruction of the amygdaloid complex leads to the decreased aggressiveness, emotional instability, restlessness, increased interest in food, and hypersexuality. This disease is known as the Clover-Bouquet syndrome. Temporal lobe dysfunction preceded by an aura of the acoustic or olfactory experience, often confused, anxious, or docile, and may perform the automatic complicated movement and then have no memory of what occurred previously. Clover-Bouquet syndrome, that is a result from the bilateral destruction of the amygdala, and characteristics are increase in sexual activity, compulsive tendency to place object in mouth, decreased emotionality, changes in eating behavior, and visual agnosia. Same Clover-Bouquet syndrome related to the amygdaloid and animals. In this, complete removal of both temporal lobe in monkey and leads to the animals are fearless and placid, showing the absence of the emotional reaction. First is related to amygdala and second is related to the removal of the temporal lobe, and which leads to the animals are fearless and male animals become hypersexual and indiscriminate in their choice of sexual partner. They show the incoordinate degree of attention to all sensory stimuli. They respond to every object within the sight to reach by sniffing it or examining it orally. Although they incessantly examine all objects, they recognize nothing. That is, they have visual agnosia due to loss of the visual association cortex, and smaller lesion of the temporal pole produces the same symptom minus and visual agnosia. A similar set of symptoms can be seen in humans. This is all about in animals, and similar set of symptoms can be seen in the human. Thank you.